Well, in the interest of going over some divergent topics, we're going to go over a little bit about Levay type Satanism. Now, before you freak out about this, because I know people with Christian are like, whoa, Satanism, we can't be talking about that. But anyway, I just want to emphasize, though, I'm not sure about Anton Levay. He's actually the Levayan Satanism, atheism, Satanism, modern Satanism, whatever you want to call it. And it's probably, well, let me put it this way, it probably is very different between what they believe and what some of the elitists do, like you actually hear about some of the really bad things. Now, I just put a video out about some of the disinformation coming out of the alternative media, and I also put in there about some really bad stuff that was going on with very high up royal families, allegedly, and I put links to where it was. I don't know what's going on. Now, this is actually the Levayan brand Satanism, and it's more like hedonism, I guess, in some ways. It's about worshiping oneself, and I'm just going to go over this real quickly because, first off, if you're a Christian, you got to watch out, well, let me put it this way. It's like you pray for people, but, I don't want to even lecture on this stuff, but let me just go over what it is first. But, actually, Levay, from my understanding, what I'm picking up on the most with him, Anton Levay, he's more of the P.T. Barnum of this whole deal. He's not, I don't think he was really deeply into it in some ways, but he had his own way of doing things, and it's a little bit different. It's more about, pleasure and worshiping yourself more and putting yourself first. But basically, I'm going to tell you what some of it is briefly. This is right off of Wikipedia, so it's coming up with the mainstream here. But I'm going to bring up an interesting twist because about you'll see what I'm going to be coming up with. Because I don't want to be bore you with the Wikipedia stuff here. But anyway, the 9 satanic statements, right? Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. So, actually, I tell you, a lot of people are like that anyway. They got something they do that's a vice. I don't care what it is. A lot of people are like that, no matter what there's a little bit more like that than people admit. Anyway, Satan represents vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams. There's a lot of people a little bit like that too. So, Satan represents undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit. There's a lot. I just can't. A lot of people though are more like this than they want to admit. And even though they hear the word Satan, they go, "Oh my God!" But it's almost like materialism, and a lot of people are like that, whether they say they're Christian or not, or whatever they are, or whatever. And I'm not criticizing Christians, but some of them I criticize. But Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates. I almost agree with that deal. Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. A lot of people agree with that deal, and if you watch the Clint Eastwood movie, that's the deal right there. Satan represents responsibility to the responsible instead of concern for psychic warfare or psychic vampires. People always have to, have something, a problem all the time. You got to help me, you got to help me, you got to help me. If you're going to help yourself, we'll help you. If you don't help, it's like, I can't disagree with that one either. Satan represents man as just another animal, sometimes better, sometimes worse. Now, sometimes I do think the human race does a lot of stuff worse than animals. Like squirrels even will not grab all the acorns and make all the other squirrels starve. There won't be like some big fat rat squirrel that has 50 billion acorns or something, like Vladimir Putin or something. And, he's making everybody else practically starve. Only the human race does that type of stuff. So sometimes you got to say there's a little wisdom there too. So, I'm kind of looking at this from an objective, intellectual way. Satan represents man as just another animal, so we went over that. Satan represents all the so-called sins. They lead to the physical, mental, emotional gratification. A lot of people are seeking that anyway. And Satan has become the best friend the church ever had because they get a lot of money. And actually, it's true that if the church, all the churches were taxed, This is one thing I think. The government wouldn't be broke. That's for sure. So anyway, that's one thing. So here's the 11 satanic rules of the earth. And I'm going to get on to something else. I got to repeat this because it's not going to be just about this deal. But I just want to go over this first a little bit. And of course, a lot of people... Now, I think the people on the top, where you're hearing all this really stuff with it, like, I don't even want to repeat it because there's some stuff going on that's really, really bad. The Satanists that Levay put out the rules for, they would never do that. They wouldn't do it. So there's other stuff going on. So it's not like, it's not like exactly, what some people think it is, So I guess there's different types of Satanism, too. This is the modern day Satanism, I guess. I guess a lot of people, even if they're religious, they're a little Satanists in some ways. And it goes on, 11 satanic rules of the earth. Do not give your opinions or advice unless you are asked. That's not a bad rule sometimes. Unless, somebody maybe needs some help or something. Do not tell your troubles to others unless they are sure they want you to hear them. That's not a bad rule. When you're in another person's lair, because I think Levay had a big lion, and that was like, he wasn't even a Satanist. Like, he wasn't born a Satanist. He got into it later, and it was, I think he's I don't know what the deal was with him exactly. I don't want to mock him or nothing, but I think there's different types of Satanists. I can tell you that right now. But when you're in another person's lair, show them respect, or else do not go there. So if you're in another person's domain, but that's not a bad rule. If a guest in your lair annoys you, treat them cruelly and without mercy. I guess. Do not make sexual advances unless you're giving the mating signal. So, if the cow says, well, whatever, I ain't going to say nothing about that. If you got the mating signal, go for it. Do not take that which does not belong to you unless it is a burden on the other person and they cry out to be relieved. So, don't steal. Anyway, acknowledge the power of magic. It's almost like prayer and magic or something. Who knows? If you are employed it successfully to obtain your desires, and you deny the power of magic after calling it upon with a success, you will lose all that you have obtained. Don't deny that you got it through magic, man. So, prayer, magic, whatever. Do not complain about anything to which you need not subject yourself. Not a bad rule. Do not harm young children. See, that's where, sometimes you hear in these stories about, the royalty and the crown and all this type of stuff, doing all this stuff. That's a different, I don't know what that is. This is the Levay Satanism, Do not harm young children. Do not kill non-human animals unless you are attacked or for your food. Another thing, so they're not into that stuff at all. So, that's this type. And then when you're walking in open territory, bother no one. If somebody bothers you, ask them to stop. If they do not stop, destroy them. That's a Clint Eastwood thing. And they got the 9 satanic sins: stupidity, pretentiousness, sloplessness, self-deceit, herd conformity. Boy, we got a lot of that. Lack of perspective, forgetfulness of path orthodoxies, counterproductive pride, and lack of aesthetics. Not some bad rules. I mean, it's, the Levay brand is not exactly what a lot of people think it is. So anyway, I want to say this, though. You got Zeena Lavey, the daughter of Anton Levay. Now, she was born into the stuff, and man, I know there's... It's like, boy, I guess it depends on which circle she went into. But she's no longer in it. She actually got away from it. She got into her own thing. And she was head of the church for a while, but she got into her own thing. I think this modern day, whatever the heck they call it, Satanism, they're using that brand name. It's more like it's actually what a lot of people really are, even though they say they're not. I start thinking about it. What I just said. Anyway, this is her where she's got the cat thing on because, they were into the lions and stuff like that, and I guess the lair. And, Anton Levay had the lion before he even got into the satanic stuff. I think in his case, it actually kind of started out where he became into this stuff because it was a business, basically. That's what I'm really thinking it was. And here she is again. Now, there's one thing that's going on. This is what I want to get to you, tell you, because doesn't she remind you of one person? I'm going to tell you right now, and it's Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift. Now, there's some rumors out there that actually she's been cloned or something like that, and that Taylor Swift is actually Zeena Lavey. And you know what? There's an uncanny resemblance, I have to admit. But I thought that was pretty damn cool, man. So you never know, man. Taylor Swift is actually a clone. I don't know, man. Hey, what about Donald Marshall has to say about that? He might actually have something to say about that. And you never know. If you can actually get some DNA and make some comparisons that come up the same, we got the deal. But, you know, I actually look at this deal and I say to myself, Taylor Swift does look a lot like Zeena Lavey. A lot. It's like she could be her sister easily, or almost her identical twin sister, for crying out loud. It's ridiculous. And, you know, that's kind of freaky when you start thinking about that. And so what I'm thinking is, you know, maybe there's some really freaky stuff going on here in Hollywood. Maybe they really do have clones, you know, and they're doing all this cloning satanic stuff, and they're having fun, they're hedonistic. And I don't know if this is Taylor Swift. This is actually supposed to be Zeena Lavey back in her day when she was really souped up with magic spells and everything like that. So, you know, maybe she could do that again and go back to that exactly. But that's something else. But anyway, she does look a lot like Taylor Swift, or the other way around, or Taylor Swift does look a lot like Zeena Lavey. So I have to put this out here because this kind of, when I looked at the two people and I said to myself, wow, that's uncanny. Then I start thinking, Donald Marshall, it's a clone. It's got to be a clone, man. It's got to be a clone. I don't know. Alex Jones, where the hell are you? Are you going to put something on about... Nah, he's not going to do that because he's... Anyway, he's selling orange juice or some shit. That's what he's doing. Anyway, but I'm going to tell you that, you know, if you're into this... let me put it this way. This modern-day Satanism stuff is not like what the Levay brand is, not exactly what's going on with some of the other circles, I think, where there's some other stuff going on that's really bad. Because if you look at the Levay brand, they got some rules that almost sound like common sense rules. You know, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, and everything. And I know, like, there's some stories out there that Anton Levay on his deathbed cried out and he says, "Oh my God, what have I done?" I don't think he did that, but I know like, Christians like saying that stuff, but I don't know what he did at his deathbed, but I think that was a made up story. But I'm just putting this out for like informational purposes and more as a, you know, common sense type thing, because you know, some people would love to condemn anybody that's a Satanist because they're trying to bring people to hell, but they don't believe in hell. That's what they're doing, right? They don't believe in hell. So you shouldn't, if you believe in hell, you should not try to condemn somebody to hell, because actually in a real Christian way, you're going to get condemned for hell for that deal right there, man. I'll tell you that right now. So anyway, I just want to put this out because I don't know, sometimes the religious people go overboard. And actually, if I knew any Satanist, I don't know any Satanists, and I'm not a Satanist or anything, but, you know, if there was a Satanist and they believed in these things here, I'd be saying, I don't see nothing. They're not going to bother me, man. You know what I mean? Do what you want. Do your own thing, man. Free country, right? Anyway, and Taylor Swift, I wonder. I'm not sure if that's Taylor Swift or you know, this is Taylor Swift. So that's Taylor Swift, and this is that's supposed to be Zeena Lavey. I can't. They look so damn similar. I mean, I'm like, wow. Maybe the cloning really is going on. Who knows, man? Who knows? But anyway, they're two good lookers, so what the hell, right? They ought to clone the good ones.